So as previously stated, the whole chapter 0 thing was always every prerequisite chapter in every math book I've ever worked with is always just really, really difficult. And everything in that chapter 0, not everything, but a lot of it was stuff you guys have never seen before in this class. So the i's and the whole rational exponent, but what the hell is 8 to the 4/3 mean? So yeah, so all right, so that those are all things that you just got introduced to for the first time. So it was expected that that chapter was rough. And I'd rather start with the rough stuff, and now we can ease into the rest of the stuff here. So we'll have, you'll have another test in about 11 days on sections 1.1 to 1.3. And we spend a whole week on 1.3, okay? So this is what, like, 1.1 to 1.3 is like the core of Algebra 2, okay? So here we go, solving linear equations. And of course, starting with linear equations, these are Algebra 1 stuff, all right? Oh my God. So example 1, solve each equation. What we want to do in this class, for you to get familiar with your calculators, so I will be using calculators for all of these things to show you what to do, how to check on your calculator, because checking in my class is the thing you're going to have to learn to do. Because yes, I will always ask you the question where no, that answer was actually a false solution. Okay? So I know that. So that is what you want to pay attention to in this class, is checking your work and making sure that you're correct. So on this first one here, we have -3 times the quantity x plus 4 minus 2 times the quantity x minus 1 equals 5 times the quantity x plus 8. What should we do, ladies and gentlemen? Distribute. We're going to distribute a bunch. What do you get when you distribute the -3? Minus 2x plus 2. 5x plus 40. Very good. I hope you all know how to do this. Then what do we need to do? Combine like terms. We have a -3x and a -2x, which is -5x. We have a -12 and a +2, which is -10. Equals 5x plus 40. And now what do you want to do? Add. Okay, so I'm going to add the 5x. That one goes away. So -10 equals 10x plus 40. And then what? Subtract 40, subtract 40. Do you need to write this step, this subtract 40 step? God, no. I do it in notes just for your benefit, not for the math world at large. All right, which means that x equals -5. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, what can you do to check your answer? Plug it back in. So that is the numeric way to check, is simply to plug the value back in. And you have calculators, and that is pretty easy. And you can check for balance, okay? So you know how to do that. I'm going to show you the better, faster, more awesome way. So with your graphing calculators, you have a Casio? How many Casio operators do I have?
Casio.
Okay, all right, good. So I will show you both ways. Ladies and gentlemen, the best thing you can learn in this class is how to solve any equation graphically, okay? Every single equation can be solved on a graphing calculator by simply putting the left-hand side in y1 and the right-hand side in y2. So we're going to do that. All right, turn on your calculators. If you have a Casio, you need to press menu and select the graphing menu. All right. And then on the TI, you're going to go to Y equals. The Y equals is the graphing menu, so you're going to press Y equals. And for the Casio, we're selecting graph from the menu. Okay, you there? And so we both have our Y equals menu. And you can see on the Casio it says Y equals up here. All right. You need to know where the X button is. And on the Casio, it can be confusing. On the TI, the X is next to the alpha key. Right here, it's the X, T, theta, N button. And on the Casio, it's below the alpha key. Again, X, theta, and T. And that's the X that we're going to use in our equations. So, below the alpha key? Oh. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to type in. Now, you have to use a negative, not a subtract. On your TI, you have a negative button. So you have to use the negative. Eric, you don't have a graphing calculator, so you won't be able to do this. -3 parentheses. You're going to type it in just like you see it. -2 times the quantity x minus 1 parentheses. So I put that whole left-hand side in y1. I'm going to do the same thing over here. -3 quantity x plus 4 minus 2 quantity x minus 1. All right, and then I'm going to put in the y2, we're going to put the right-hand side in y2. Uh-huh. Yeah, hit enter. Hit enter. And 5 quantity x plus 8. All right, so you can enter. And so when you guys are graphing, you want to check a couple things. If you have a TI, you see at the top of your screen you have plot 1, plot 2, plot 3. Those should not be highlighted, because if they're highlighted, you're going to get an error. Okay. The other thing on both of these calculators, you see how the equal sign is highlighted. That means that it is going to graph the function. All right, it is selected to be graphed. You can unselect it if you don't want it to be graphed. Okay. On the Casio, you get to press draw. And on the TI, you can also press graph. So we have an equation. We have two lines. They are linear functions, so they are lines. And that looks kind of interesting. What's happening here? They cross at some point. They cross. And we just don't see all of it, do we? Okay. So there is the zoom out feature, but that's not the best choice usually. So I want to show you how to change your window. Does it look like they're going to cross somewhere up above? Yeah, okay. So ladies and gentlemen, you have a viewing window. On the Casio, it says V window, viewing window. And on the TI, it just says window. And you're going to go to the window. And what we want to do is make our y-axis taller. Okay? So most of our windows go from -10 to 10. And so what we want to do is we want to go to the window. And on the Casio, we're going to do second viewing window. And we want to change the Y maximum value. I don't want it to be 10 anymore. What do you want to try? 100? That'd be really big. Let's try 20. But you can choose anything you want. So enter 20 and hit enter. And then go back on the Casio, press exit and then draw again. There you go. And on the TI, you just press graph. All right, so now you can see where they cross. Where the two graphs cross is where the solution is. That's cool. Sure. And you can, that's just because your window is scaled differently, so it's slightly different. All right, so guess what? your calculator can tell you that intersection point. Your calculator can do that. On the Casio, it's super easy. On the Casio, you have a solving menu. It's G-solve. That stands for graphing solve, okay? So you select G-solve, so you're going to do Shift G-solve, and we want to find the intersection. You see the abbreviation for intersect. And you just press intersect, I-S-C-T, and it pops up right there. You see the Tinkerbell little dot, and the intersection occurs when x equals -5. Look at that. On the TI, it's a little more complicated, but we have a solving menu as well. It's called the calculate menu. You can see it as a second function here. It's calc. And so you would go second calc. And again, we want to find the intersection. So we're going to go down and select intersection, intersect, and hit enter. And it's a little more complicated. Right now, Tinkerbell here is at 0, -10. So I'm going to use my left or right arrow key and move Tinkerbell up to that intersection point. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say Tinkerbell? Yeah, my cursor. Okay. Yeah, my flashing cursor there. You're going to move Tinkerbell to that point of intersection, and it's asking first curve. All you have to do is hit enter. Second curve, hit enter. Guess, hit enter. Enter, enter, enter. And again, it tells you the intersection was at when x is -5. And that's our solution for x when the y values are equal to each other. Okay. So that's kind of a fun way to check answers. Okay. Now, let's solve letter B. How many of you like fractions? Raise your hand. People of my heart. Yes. Okay. I love fractions. But boy, wouldn't you like to be able to get rid of fractions? Yes. So yeah, we can multiply through by the LCD. What is the lowest common denominator of 5, 2, and 10? 10. The lowest common multiple would be 10. And so what we can do to clear these fractions is multiply each side by 10. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, absolutely. It's a multiplicative property of equality. As long as we multiply both sides, we can do that. So I'm going to distribute my 10. That becomes 40 over 5m minus 10 over 2m equals 90 over 10. And the whole reason for multiplying by the LCD is what happens to these. They simplify. What is 40 over 5? Oh, 8. 8. And voila. So I showed you that step, but the idea is that you could go directly here. Minus what? 5m equals 9. Okay, Jacob. Zoom in. All right. Get friendly with multiplying through by the LCD, ladies and gentlemen, because we are going to become pros at multiplying through by the LCD. 8m minus 5m is 3m equals 9, so m equals 3. Okay. All right, multiplying by the LCD is our favorite friend. Okay. So one more here. Letter C, 3y minus 2 over 8 minus 4y plus 1 over 6 equals, plus 2 equals 0. All right, lovely fractions. There are a bunch of things that we could do, but what do you want to do? Okay, I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing move the 2, and I'm hearing least common denominator. Move the 2. Okay, we can move the 2. 3y minus 2 over 8 minus 4y plus 1 over 6 equals -2. Okay, now what? Least common denominator. Okay, what is the LCD here? 24 is the lowest common multiple. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 24. And I'm going to write this a little bit special this first time so you can see how it actually simplifies. This 24 is going to be distributed to both terms, but there's a lot going on here. So it really looks like this: 24 times the 3y minus 2 over 8 minus 24 times the 4y plus 1 over 6 equals negative 48. So you can see that 24 gets distributed to both numerators, because you can think about it as 24 over 1. And now what happens with the 24 and the 8? It reduces, so it becomes 3 quantity 3y minus 2. Be careful. You don't want to multiply in the 24 and then distribute in, like you can't, yeah, you have to be really careful. What happens with the 24 and the 6? Yeah, reduces to a negative 4 times the 4y plus 1. And now we can go ahead and distribute and combine like terms and solve. So what do you get when you distribute? Equals negative 48. Very good. Combining like terms. Negative 7y minus 10. Bueno. And then add 10. So negative 7y equals negative 38. And then divide by negative 7. Whoops, so 38 over 7? Sure. It's an ugly answer, but it could happen. So I'm going to check really fast using my calculator, not graphing it. I'm just going to go ahead and plug that value 38/7 in. So I'm just going to do 38/7 and plug it in for y. So I am going to be a little bit careful because of the fraction here. I want to make sure that I have this whole numerator in parentheses. You do have to be a bit careful. 3 times 38 over 7 minus 2 divided by 8. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to subtract the entire numerator minus the quantity 4 times 38 over 7 plus 1 divided by 6. And now my plus 2. And hopefully, voila, 0.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it equals 0, so I know that it checked out perfectly. So not too bad. Learning to use your calculator and plug things in with parentheses correctly is probably the hardest part. But it works on any calculator, graphing or scientific. So nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, do you have questions for me? That's it. You guys can work on class practice 33.
Wait, so does that mean we're only doing the multiples of 3? Okay.
What does multiples of 3 mean, ladies and gentlemen? Every third, 3, 6,